Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Alan Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the third week of January 2020. And it's very cold outside.
Really? I wore my snow shirt.
Well, why would you? Because you didn't help me shovel.
You won't let anybody help you shovel.
Oh, I would let everybody.
No,
I would let even Obama help me shovel. How do you like
not.
that? If Michelle Obama, I would say, here's a shovel.
No.
And then when you're done shoveling, you know where to put the handle.
Well, that you might say.
And she would say, yes, I do know where to put the handle. What? Anyway. So anyway, it's very cold and snowy today, and I don't have a lot of stories because we just finished our amazing January class and OMG meeting, so we're very busy all the time. And then I had to shovel snow again today, so I don't have a lot of stories. Okay, but what
So
I
they
do
needed
have-
to know all that.
Yes, they did need to know, and so I will tell them what I do have. But what's so interesting is this story has a lot to do with what I discussed in class this week.
Really?
Yes, which is about the descendancies of the 10 lost tribes of Israel,
Wow.
which happens to be in a
Sneak
new
peek.
book.
Sneak peek. You can't buy it yet.
Look what's here.
But within hopefully the next month it will be available to everybody. And that's the third. In case you don't have them, remember you want to read King Bee, Queen Bee, Template of God Mind, these two, and this will be the third one.
It is the third one.
Will be, and that will be supported by my Height to Spirituality, which is in layout right now. So we're getting everything together for you for another series. So we got lots of reading to do this winter.
And after I shoveled the snow, I was in layout. What is with your face?
What is with your accent?
I'm just channeling your people. Okay, you need to take a pill. She's jealous because I look more beautiful than her.
That's true.
Anyway.
I have always had that issue.
It's true. And I can't help but wake up like this.
I know.
So according to this article, which I don't agree with this first line, because it
So why are you
says...
going to read it?
Because it's in the article, and it says the Jews of today are descended from the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. And yes, that is true. However, they are also other tribes. But,
Right.
But they're saying that because this was from the tribe of Judah, which was the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdoms of the 10 tribes, that's who was missing. That's why they're saying that.
Yeah.
Because the Bible records that when the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser III and later Sargon II invaded Israel, 10 tribes were taken captive from Gilad and Samaria, respectively, and resettled in Hala and Gozan on the Khabur River in the Aram Naharaim region. Did you get all that?
Yeah, I did. I kind of zoned out.
Yeah, but not exactly true because all of them went elsewhere. Anyway, the Pashtun, an Iranian ethnic group of 50 million Muslims, refer to themselves as Bani Israel. And that sounds a lot like Bnei Yisrael, which is what they call the children of Israel. And within this tribal framework is a strong oral tradition that they are descended from the lost 10 tribes of Israel. And I have that in one of those books that you showed
think
everybody.
it's this
and
one.
I think it's also some in there too.
Some in this one. Well, actually, it kind of goes throughout all of them. But
Yeah, not so much in the King Bee, Queen Bee, but in the
kinda.
other ones.
But more in this one and a lot in this one.
Now, do you remember what the Sanhedrin is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's the political, religious
No, it's the court.
parliament thing.
It's kind of the ancient religious court system of the
Parliament
king
thing.
of the
Political,
kingdom of
spiritual.
Israel, and that's been resurrected, of course, since the creation of Israel in 1948. But the Sanhedrin was contacted 4 years ago by a respected academician from Afghanistan who represented a group of Pashtun who wished to reconnect with Israel. The organization represents many influential thinkers and even one former member of the Parliament of Pakistan. Since there are officially no diplomatic relations between Israel and Afghanistan, this connection had to be built in secrecy, and the Afghani Pashtun have to remain anonymous. And so Rabbi Hillel Weiss, a spokesman for the Sanhedrin, traveled to India to meet with the representatives of the Afghani Pashtun.
Keep on, you guys say Gesundheit. Ashun.
You know, you are microaggressing me publicly on the camera, and now I know how, what's her name, felt when Bernie Sanders insulted her.
Pashtun.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
During the meeting with Rabbi Weiss, the representative of the Pashtun, now this is very interesting, so pay attention, signed the charter in which he agreed as Pashtun to join with the other nations in helping Israel to bring the third temple. That keeps coming up.
50 million of them could do it.
Can you imagine 50 million more Jews coming to Israel? They're going to have to get more room.
And if everybody just had one brick, that temple would be built in no time.
It'd be stone.
Brick is made of stone.
Yeah,
A
but
stone brick.
I think that maybe you got hit in the head with one of those.
I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
if everybody just brought one, that temple would be built in no time.
Well, I get that. I think you should go and tell them and be director.
I just did.
It represents a universal covenant of brotherhood of peace based on the Bible. All major religions share. Now, guess what? It says diplomatic representatives from Guatemala, Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras have already signed the charter. I found that was very interesting,
Fascinating.
especially since in my books and in the class I discussed how Latinos are 60% of them are Hebrews.
Yeah,
And some of them don't know, but I guess the governments know it.
of course they do.
So many Pashtun have family traditions identifying with specific tribes. Those from the tribe of Yusufzai, that must be in Afghanistan, for example, believe they are descended from Joseph and from the Levi high priests, and also from Ephraim, Gad, and tribe of Benjamin. And there's a surprising long list of customs among the Pashtun, which are also observed by Jews. For example, the Pashtun men wear four-cornered fringed garments that are similar to the Jewish prayer shawls. And even though the Pashtun are Muslims, they observe the Sabbath on Friday. They also light Sabbath candles Friday evening like Jews do, and they celebrate the Sabbath Friday evening until Saturday evening. And the Pashtun, when they get married under a cloth canopy, customary for Jews, they also smash a glass cup in like a Jewish wedding in memory of the temple's destruction. The Pashtun also circumcise their male infants on the 8th day as Jews do. So they have the same dietary laws as Jews, and when their Muslim traditions are in conflict with the Jewish traditions, they follow the Jewish traditions. So I thought that was very interesting considering they live in a Muslim country. And their claim is strengthened by scientific findings, because in the year 2006, Dr. Navras Ja'at Afridi from India conducted research at Tel Aviv University to see if there were Israeli or Israelite descendants among certain Muslim Indian groups. And according to their findings, 650 out of 1,500 members of a certain Pashtun clan in India possessed Hebrew genetics. So that was very interesting. So according to the work and the books that you showed everybody, many, including Africans from Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Cameroon, Ghana, Ethiopia, and Mali also claim descendancy from the Jews. Now, talking about DNA and so on, what happens when you take cells from a frog embryo, grow them into new organisms that are evolved by algorithms? You get something that researchers are calling the world's first living machine. Now, this is also connected to what we did in class last week, because the original stem cells from frogs, and guess what? It's the African clawed frog, the one I have in my fish tank.
I'm not tell people that.
Yeah. They're calling them xenobots, even though they don't resemble the amphibians. The biologists assembled their cells by computer models, according to a study, and then these mobile organisms can move independently and collectively, can self-heal wounds, survive for weeks at a time, and could be used to transport medicines inside a patient's body. Would you want to put an African claw frog in your body to deliver medicine to your liver?
No.
No? because you could sign up for the experiment. They grew skin and heart stem cells into tissue clumps of several hundred cells that moved in pulses generated by the heart muscle tissue. Then the biologists fed a computer constraint for autonomous xenobots, such as maximum muscle power, their tissues, how they might move. Like they put an algorithm in and produced generations of tiny organisms which are performing bots that would reproduce inside the algorithm. And just as evolution works in the natural world, the least successful forms were deleted by the computer program. So the computer decided who should live and who should die.
That's
and
scary.
that is a self-perpetuating AI.
Sorry,
And
scary.
in the class, as you know, I had a section that discussed that there is a dangerous alien AI that has destroyed other worlds and is now transmitting signals on this one. So a very dangerous situation.
You missed it out if you weren't here at the class.
Yeah, because I'm not doing it again.
No, or semi-retiring.
Yes, well, I'm retiring completely. You could work.
Yeah,
And you
I got to
can-
semi-retire
and
because
you
I
could
still have
take
to
care
support
of
you.
me.
Yes.
Now, speaking of dangerous situations, a series of small earthquakes over a 2-week period at Mount Shasta may be a precursor to the volcano coming back to life.
Wow.
The last presumed volcanic eruption in Mount Shasta was in 1786. But of course, we don't know what was before that. In an updated list by the USGS, Mount Shasta is now ranked the 5th out of a list of 18 volcanoes in the United States that pose a very high threat. You know who the number 1 volcano is? The Kilauea on the island of Hawaii was ranking first, and others high on the list from your homeland, Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, and Mount Baker.
And what do you have to say about all the earthquakes that were going on in Puerto Rico?
Well, like I told you, it's getting ready for me coming there.
I guess. And then they said they saw a fireball in the sky. Did you see that? People were afraid that it was the end times,
It is the end times.
but that they were afraid of the fireball.
I want to name a volcano after you, Mount Janet.
I want to name it after you.
Well, you have a lot of anger issues.
That's why you want the volcano. So, on to me,
As always.
as always. So, I have very fascinating stories because even though I was so busy in the week, I still had time to collect for.
Oh, really? Because I
Our
thought I saw you
audience.
like taking a snooze while I was speaking.
No.
No?
So, first order of business, of course, is back to Meghan and Prince Harry.
Do we have to talk about
We do. Because what's so interesting is now they've been reduced to pitching Meghan Markle to do voiceovers for Disney.
that. Yeah.
And they both want to do it, apparently.
Harry is a dopnik, you know?
That's what I'm going to say. Now, apparently she must be in charge. I don't know, crazy stuff. But what was interesting to me that a constitutional expert in Canada has warned that the royal couple's move might be illegal.
Why?
They said that it could break a constitutional taboo because, and might have to go to the Supreme Court, because it says that there is no constitutional role in Canada for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So it
Yeah,
says
but they're not anymore. They're now.
this is the issue.
Yeah.
So they can visit Canada on behalf of the Queen, but they can't take on any other royal family responsibilities or live in Canada permanently or part-time, according to this. So they said it may even have to go to Canada's Supreme Court. And they said that the poll reveals that 73% of Canadians do not want to pick up security costs, what they're claiming could be at least $10 million US.
I agree.
Almost 8 million pounds. And what else did I want to tell you? That's the biggest news, I guess. But I think it's going to be a really interesting.
You know what?
ride to
Nobody
see
wants them in the
happens.
United States either.
No, nobody's going to want them
They
at all.
need to go to Mars.
And her father gave a horrible.
You know, I don't blame him. She's been very mean to him.
And they said it was going to be like Walmart with a crown.
Well, it is, isn't
They
it?
said they're really taking
Oh,
down.
but speaking of, I saw a picture today of the Queen with Prince Andrew. She's
Yes.
bringing him back.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, very interesting. And now this one I think you would like very much, this story. This is about ex-Pope Benedict becoming an anti-pope. You always like anti-stuff. So this is an anti-pope whose shadow role at the Vatican is undermining his successor. So apparently there was some book written by somebody about married priests. And married priests. And apparently Francis is saying that maybe that's a good thing, and Benedict is saying maybe that's a bad thing. So,
Yeah. because he's never going to be married.
The former head of the Catholic Church seems to have broken his silence recently over key issues in Catholicism, raising serious questions within the Church about the extent to which there are in fact two men in white at the Vatican. In 2013, if you remember, Benedict was the first pontiff to resign in almost 600 years. He chose to be known as the Pope Emeritus and said he would live hidden from the world in a former convent inside the Vatican grounds.
They should hide him, yes.
So they say initially he stuck to his promise, but then, since then, he's weighed in on explosive issues of clerical sex abuse and whether the priesthood could be open to married men. Now,
First of all, originally it was, and only after the Council of Nicaea did they change everything.
So, according to this article, there were hints of a problem right from the start when Benedict gave up the papal hat, but not the postal address. And apparently this publication of views on controverted issues when offered by a man who insists that he too still deserves the title of Pope, even though he's Pope Emeritus.
Pope 1, Pope 2.
He continues to wear papal garb and still resides in the Vatican is deeply problematic. Even his supporters say that he should have taken back his original name, Joseph Ratzinger, the Nazi.
He's a Ratzinger, all
when
right.
assigning his contribution to the book. So whatever this book was.
I think you know what's going to happen.
What?
Francis might say, let me take you for a little ride in your wheelchair. Oh, look, there's traffic. Look out. Oh, too late.
According to historian Francesco Margiotta Broglio, head of Italy's Religious Freedom Commission, he said that Ratzinger should neither write nor speak. And if he continues to go against the reigning pope, he could become an anti-pope.
He isn't.
Apparently, he's 92 years old. He's very frail. He has difficulty speaking or writing. So then the Vatican
Who knows what they
watchers
say?
are saying, did he really write this or did somebody else write this?
Yeah,
who's trying
really.
to undermine the current papacy. So again, here we have
Exactly.
more controversy within the Catholic Church. Very
Yeah, how
fascinating.
unusual.
And then another one of your favorite countries, China.
I like China.
China. Apparently there's a deadly mystery Chinese virus
Yeah, I know.
that has now crossed the ocean to Japan, according to the World Health Organization.
That was on purpose.
Yeah. Apparently, the Chinese Health Ministry confirmed a man in his 30s has this mystery disease because he was recently they say visited the Chinese city of Wuhan. And in Wuhan, there is an outbreak of pneumonia caused by this new China coronavirus. And the World Health Organization now is warning hospitals around the world to prepare for the illness.
Well, all the U.S. airports that have flights from China are checking all the passengers
Yeah.
as they arrive.
And of course, every winter we have some scare that happens. As you know, we've had SARS supposedly from China and Hong Kong, the bird flu, Middle East respiratory syndrome, adenovirus, and now we have coronavirus. So anyway, it says the symptoms, just in case you want to know,
Yeah, I'd like
are
to know.
cold-like symptoms, including a runny nose, headache, cough, sore throat, and a fever.
Sounds like a cold to me.
So anyway, we'll see what happens, but they've always got to have some new thing going
Not
on
like
in
your
winter.
eyes explode and your teeth fall
No,
out.
just normal thing,
Just-
but you can drop dead. Bing, and you're dead.
Like anywhere
Bing.
else.
All right, then Church of Sweden, another one of your favorite countries, are
It
doing
is-
another ridiculous things.
Oh, I have family there.
Apparently,
yeah.
the Church of Sweden caused quite a controversy when they had a original artwork that included a gay couple, a lesbian couple, and a transgender serpent hung over their altar.
A transgender serpent.
Yes, this is the Church of Sweden did this. So that caused so much controversy, they took it down, but now they've replaced it with another painting, and this depicts Jesus as a transgender in high heels. This is the Church of Sweden.
Sweden, what happened to you?
Yeah, so anyway, lots of controversy.
The Vikings would roll over in their graves.
Yeah. And then in California,
Another great place.
the lawmakers are debating a first of its kind ban on intersex surgery for children under 6 unless doctors deem it medically necessary.
6-year-old child. That's horrible.
This is based on real intersex people that are born with genitalia, chromosomes,
But
and
you know what?
reproduction
They need to wait till
organs.
that child is old enough to decide what it wants
Well,
to
that's
be.
what they're saying. However, and I see this legislation is now happening in New York and in other states. It's being introduced. But, so I don't know what's going to happen with all of that, but, let's watch to see what happens. So it says medically necessary would be, for example, maybe the intersex child can't urinate because of the way
Well,
that...
that's different.
Exactly. But they apparently, anyway, all kinds of weird things. And then speaking of this weirdness, which we keep telling you about, A 45-year-old sex offender from, believe it or not, Grand Rapids, Michigan, identifies as an 8-year-old girl and declares child pornography free speech.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So apparently this man was arrested after officers discovered images of children being raped on his electronic devices. And he said at his sentencing that he's always been an 8-year-old girl.
Okay.
He draws and fantasizes as an 8-year-old girl. So then he fired his court-appointed attorney. He opted to represent himself at a trial.
Right.
And he argued that the images found on his computer were created using an image manipulating program and were protected as free speech under the First Amendment.
Because an 8-year-old girl would know all about that.
Yes, but however, the police said these were actual children, not ones that he had created on his computer. These were actual children that they were able to identify.
I think he needs a smack on the head.
So the prosecutor said that the man is a danger to the public.
Yeah, a little bit.
So even during the trial, the defendant continued to draw, talked about raping babies, and making other statements.
Here's my solution: execution.
He claimed that it was his constitutional right to do so.
No, it isn't.
And the man, his name is Gobrick, said under the law, Auschwitz was legal, and what you're doing here is wrong, just as Auschwitz was. So he was found guilty of 3 counts of child sexually abusive commercial activity and using a computer to commit a crime. However, they don't say how long, he's not actually been convicted, but he faces a maximum penalty between 10 and 20 years. But people like this are always a danger, in my opinion.
What? Let him go to jail for a week, then he'll never come out.
That's possible too. But I mean, somebody like this isn't going to change. So, and then speaking about this, I keep bringing this up because I keep thinking I'm not going to do any more drag queen stories because it's so ridiculous. But this one is so ridiculous, I had to bring this one to your attention. This is actually in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, your homeland.
My homeland. A pastor for the New Covenant Baptist Church was observing a protest of people who were, because there was a drag queen story hour at a local public library.
Another one?
Well, they're all over the place now. You can't get away from them.
Who goes to these things?
I don't know, but they're all over. But the thing is apparently there was a group of people protesting against it. And then there was a group of people protesting for it, I guess. So the ones who were for it were allowed closer to the library, and those who were protesting against it had to go far away from the library. And this pastor said he was only observing. So the police said you have to go with the protesters. And he says, I'm not protesting, I'm only observing. So he was arrested.
For what? Observing?
For not obeying what they told him to go across the street with the protesters, even though he said not protesting. So he's been in court twice, and believe it or not, the judge has actually dismissed the case, but the prosecutor continues to put him back and now wants to take it all the way to the Spokane Superior Court.
That's because the prosecutor has nothing to do with
Well,
Spokane.
somebody must be, paying him under the table because it's like it doesn't belong in libraries. I've told you this before about this drag queen stuff. It's so ridiculous.
They should be arresting them.
It just doesn't make sense. This is taxpayer money.
Why would a grown man want to put on makeup and dress like a woman?
Well,
I don't understand that.
Even if they did, who would want to go see it, much less take your children? This is the
And
thing.
speak in a library.
Yeah, it's just... And
We're supposed to be quiet.
And the librarians, these are people who have been through school, they've supposedly got their master's degree, and they want to bring these people in. I don't understand that at all. I just don't. It's just...
And this is why the aliens are taking over.
I guess the AI. And I've also been talking to you about all these end-of-life scenarios. Well, in your
Yeah, you wanted to
hometown,
end my life. I remember that story.
in your home area, Long Island,
Not my home.
long ago, in Long Island, there's a 91-year-old woman who wanted to stay alive. And she apparently had 2 living wills. One that she wrote many decades ago, stating that if she became incapacitated, she would want the plug pulled.
Right.
Then, apparently she had some kind of an issue.
Yeah.
And did you know about this story?
Look, she thought she was going to die, so it was like, oh, I don't want to now.
No, she had a health issue which made her go on a ventilator and a feeding tube. So,
Permanently?
well, now, because she's dead.
Oh, well, yeah.
So,
That would be, yeah.
so the story is that she had 2 children. Excuse me. And
I told you to stop smoking before you go
I
on.
know, I can't help it. You held me down and forced a cigarette in my mouth.
Always about me.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, apparently there's 2 children, 2 sons, and one son said his mother wanted to live, and the other son had the old will and said his mother needed to go. So they took it to court in Nassau County.
But she's dead.
No, she was alive
At
at
the
the
time.
time.
Oh, I see.
At the time, the woman said, and she actually had a video of her mouthing that I don't want to die, I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed that in court, and after that, the judge issued a gag order and then went with the son who had the old living will, and they turned off her life support system and she died. With her conscious
That's
enough.
murder.
Yes. They call it the killing of Arlene Lester, shrouded in secrecy after a judge allegedly issues a secret gag order. This was just here just a few days ago.
That's what happens when you raise children.
Well, and so, anyway, it says from the point forward after, because the son showed this video of his mother all over everywhere that he get it published. It was published in the New York Post, other publications. After that, the court issued this secret gag order. And then there's an organization called Personhood Alliance, which is, for people to live and not be killed. So then after that happened, the gag order was put on and nobody would release any information. The woman was disconnected from her life support and she died even though she was conscious enough to say, I want to live.
That's horrible. That's a murder.
Yes.
How could they do
And
such a thing?
apparently they're trying to do, what do they call it, like legal euthanasia in New York.
I mean, but now what are they going to do? She's dead.
Nothing you can do
They
about it.
should put the judge guilty of murder.
Yeah. The woman actually was mouthing because she said that the mother's perception was if I'm a vegetable, if I'm brain dead, I'm laying there, pull the plug. But it wasn't the situation. She had
Okay.
medical things, but she was still okay up here.
I'll tell you what, that judge is going to have a health problem. They're going to pull his plug.
Yeah,
And
so
he'll
it was
deserve
a
it.
female, I think.
Whatever.
Her. So anyway, like I said, this end-of-life care stuff is really dicey out there. So if you have a living will, you need to make sure that whoever's administering it for you will fight for
Okay, I'm
you.
going to tell everyone, Cameron, don't let Janet pull the plug on me, ever. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not going to pull
Do
the
not
plug.
pull the plug.
That's impossible. You're too wiry.
Well, you'll probably just kill me straight out. We'll need a plug.
And speaking of AI, aliens, outer space, Space Force, let's see how we segue in. Space Force. The Air Force Secretary must deliver the plan to Congress by February 1. Major General John Shaw, who's leader of Space Force's Space Operations Command. Doesn't that sound like a movie?
Sounds good.
Said the
yeah.
new service is building itself for the far future. He said this is a huge opportunity. Now this of course I'm like for make peace, not war. We have the
Except with me.
well,
Go on.
you have to. I have to defend myself with you. We have the opportunity to create a war-fighting service from scratch. Like, wow, isn't that cool? It's like, no.
It's really not from scratch. Though.
But that's what he says. And create a war-fighting service for the 22nd century. What is war-fighting going to look like at the end of this century and into the next? They may even include interplanetary operations.
Oh, it's already happened.
What we see is code writing that used to take years that now takes weeks, hours, maybe even microseconds, and maybe artificially. It's going to be high technology dependent and not human capital dependent.
Who is this guy?
This is
it
Major
him?
General Shaw, leader of Space Force Command.
Is that from the new Space Force?
Yeah, that's what I was just telling you about. Okay, you want me to go through it one more time in case it was
You
too
are
fast for you?
microaggressing me publicly.
In the second year of existence, we will start bringing National Guard units over to Space National Guard. We will bring Air National Guard units over first, then Army National Guard, then the Air Force Reserve, and then the Army Reserve. So it sounds like we're going to have one military, really. And it's all going to be under Space Force Command.
Oh, I think they should get, first of all, there are several space commands, as we learned this week in
Really?
class.
Yeah, that must have been while I was sleeping because I don't remember
Apparently.
any of it.
Mhm.
Like I zoned out.
I gave them your name.
Yeah. And here you go. We're gonna keep talking about this. The Jewish influence just keeps growing
In the Space Command?
in the Space Command. No.
Go on.
This is a news story. Switch. Beep. So I want to do the Bing thing
You know,
for
I
you.
wish
You
there
like
was
that?
an
Bing.
eject button under your chair.
Cambodian royal family celebrates the first bat mitzvah.
Aha.
Elior Koroli is the great-granddaughter of MH King Manibong, who ruled Cambodia until 1941. This young woman lives with her family in Las Vegas, and she actually celebrated her bat mitzvah when she turned 12. But now the family's having a follow-up bat mitzvah in Phnom Penh, which of course is the capital of Cambodia, because her mother wants her to know her royal roots. So apparently the celebration was the first time many Cambodian royals had tasted kosher food, which was catered by the Chabad of Cambodia.
I never knew that there was one
Now
there.
you do. Following the bat mitzvah party, the highlight of which was kindling of a, this was funny, was kindling of a large, they call it a Hanukkah, I think they meant menorah, and the speeches emphasizing the beauty and depth of Judaism. They'll get it right as they have more Jewish stuff there. The family formally met with Cambodia's current ruler. And apparently the mother was a convert to Judaism because she was born in Washington. She was raised in a Buddhist home. Her father served as Cambodia's ambassador to the U.S., where she met a Persian Jew who left Iran to study and never returned, thanks to the Islamic law, a revolution of 79 that toppled the Shah. And so her mother regularly hosts as many as 30 guests for Shabbat. She has up to 120 people in their giant sukkah. And she hosts 500 guests every year for a Purim party. I don't know why we aren't invited to that one.
Oh, really?
So the mother never visited Cambodia until 2012 when she represented her mother at the funeral at one of the royal family there.
So the royal family of Cambodia is Jewish.
No, now they have a convert into Judaism. So now it's being introduced to Cambodia. So now it's going to be interesting to see what happens from that. So because now and it has to have a few Jews there, or they wouldn't have the Chabad organization. And in Israel, thanks to heavy rains, ritual baths for the temple are now fully functional for the first time in 2,000 years.
They haven't had water in 2,000 years.
And at the ritual baths. Apparently, thousands of years ago, Jews would travel from all over Israel 3 times a year to visit the Holy Temple in Jerusalem to worship, as the Bible commands. And they would have their ritual bath and part of their spiritual preparations to go to the temple. And for 2,000 years, they've been empty, and now they're full.
So now
Is that a
they
miracle?
can finally get clean.
Yeah. Some of those people have bathed for 2,000 years.
I mean, that's terrible. I hope
Anyway.
they can take the bath before they go to Cambodia.
I have another public service announcement, because last time I did one on toothpaste. Okay?
Yes, but that wasn't really where the paste went.
No, but that's what's supposed to go. But anyway, so this week I have something a little bit more serious.
Uh-oh.
Although for those people who were using it, it would have been serious.
Go on.
Well, I don't know if you saw this story about a family that was visiting Portland, Oregon on the beach, and the father was carrying his children, and the wave came and took away. No?
No.
That was outside of Cannon Beach, I believe. And it was a very sad story, in my opinion. But the issue is that people don't have enough respect for the water. Like even here on the Great Lakes, I was just reading how many drownings a year do we have?
A lot, like 60 or something.
So far, I think like it's the first 6 months of 2019, there were 60 of them. And just recently, there was a young woman, I think she was 17, the boyfriend was 19. They were out on a pier on north of St. Joseph. And they had not seen the Great Lakes. They went out on this pier like at midnight, which is a stupid thing to do. And the wave came and got them, and the 19-year-old boy was able to get out. The 17-year-old, I don't know if they ever found her body. But this is on the Oregon coast, and I know when we were in Cabo San Lucas area, same thing. There's these rogue waves out there. And the wintertime, they're especially dangerous. So this article was about the authorities, Coast Guard. This is their quote. They said, "It's a dangerous beach. It's a thing that people have to be aware of in winter at the beach at the Oregon coast." It says, people have a tendency to walk by the signs even when they have them. And there was a photographer there who was taking pictures, and she actually saw the family walking down to the beach as she was leaving with her camera because it's too dangerous. It says, the scenario plays out all too often on the Oregon coast, a rugged and treacherous shoreline that is made more dangerous each winter by powerful storms and sneaker waves, which are fast-moving surges of water that materialize within seconds to swallow a seemingly dry beach with knee-deep water. In most areas, the beach is flanked by steep bluffs or rocky outcroppings that make it hard to run away. Now, this was something I'm not familiar with, but it's called a king tide. Do you know what a king tide is?
A tide that has a crown.
Yes, that's right. So it says a king tide, you are just brilliant. A king tide adds 11 feet or 3 meters to the tops of already huge waves. And this, they particularly, let's see, I was going to tell them, it says when the sun and the moon line up, their combined gravity make the tides higher and much lower. And so the Tourist Council are actually advertising to get people in for this. And so, if you go down there and all of a sudden these waves come out of nowhere and, got the father and killed the 2 children. So the father was able to walk out, but the children were, unfortunately.
That's terrible.
Yes. And so this is what I want to warn you about. If you're out, especially in the winter, or you're in unfamiliar areas, people don't have enough respect for the water. And People, as we just said, they die every year all over the Great Lakes for this reason.
Well, because they go out on the piers that are covered in ice and then they fall off.
Well, it's not even just ice, honey. It's the waves that get them and pull them in. Because it looks okay from a distance, and the water conditions can change so quickly. So that's my public service announcement, is please be careful in the winter time along the coastlines. I don't care where you are in the world, but if you're out there on the beach, be careful. Okay, you laid down our new books.
Yeah.
Okay, Heights of Health, Alternative Medical Apocrypha. You put it together, you get beautiful Waldensian Mountain, which is absolutely stunning. And of course, if you come with me in June, which I'm in the process of setting the dates, that should be any day now. I'm hoping Monday or Tuesday, as soon as get through the weekend. And after that, now it looks like we're going to be doing a post-Italy trip for about 4 or 5 days in Iceland. So even if you're not going to the Italy trip, you can still join us in the Iceland trip, which should be fascinating, because that's that time of year they have 24-hour daylight. So like, it's going to be really lots of
And
fun.
24-hour volcanoes.
Yeah. But you won't be there, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
So anyway, I already have people signing up for both. If you want to insure your place, you have to sign up ASAP. So remember, get these books, and then your turkey trip. Right?
Well, yes. After I'm going to Malta for that very big event, I'll be going to Turkey, and they begged me to stay extra and do a second weekend.
I know, I wasn't too
So,
happy about that.
well, you told me to do it.
Because I feel bad for the Turkish people,
What
because
about
they're
feeling
begging you.
bad for the Stewart people?
I'm not feeling
How
bad for
about
you.
this people?
No.
You feel bad for them?
I love Turkey. If I could, I'd go and spend 2 weeks there.
Okay,
I
so
love
the
Turkey.
first weekend, it's on the site, is April 24 to 26, and then it will be repeated May 1st to May 3rd.
Yeah, you'll be doing personal consultations there, lectures, explaining the history of these ancient sites. So it's going to be fascinating. Like I said, I wish I could go, but I can't. I gotta stay home and watch the puppies and the kitties.
Yeah, then I come back and then you'll go and I have to stay home.
Yep, that's the way it works now. And then remember, we have the couple more series. Our last one's usually in May, so we have February, March, April. Oh, we've got about 4 more to go. So if you're working on this, we also have a lot of these on the website after the fact, but they're never as fun as if you're right there in person. Be sure you have your book and join our weekly webinars. We have people all over the world on that. And what else is happening?
Well,
Your
you
list.
told, yeah, that's basically
It's your
it.
list. Okay, so we told you about, you gotta get those books. You want to get, if you haven't gotten these yet, King Bee, Queen Bee, and the Templated God Mind. This one is not ready for sale yet. Hopefully within
Oh,
the
look how
next
nice it
month.
is.
It's absolutely amazing. So it was soon, and this one has some color pictures in it. People like
Yeah.
stuff with color pictures. See?
I love color pictures.
Yeah, I know you do. So, anyway, this is an amazing book. That will be the third, and that will be supported by a book similar to this one, which will be called Heights of Spirituality, which will support this book. So, very excited about that. Then we have some more books coming out this year, so that was going to be our focus, is to finish up some of these projects we've had kind of in the works for a number of years. So. Anyway, lots of exciting things, expansions.com. Be
Yeah.
sure and get your membership, less than $1 a day, and you will visit with people from all over the world who are of like mind. And like I said, please, on Facebook and on YouTube, I say this every time, it's not for Q&A. So if you say, oh, it's only going to take a couple of minutes, well, guess what? If we have 1,000 people saying it's only going to take a couple of minutes, there goes our week. So that's why we have a Q&A blog on the website, so everybody can take advantage of your general questions that are of interest to the general readership. And guess what? Don't write us saying, oh, I want to know, can you help me with this or help me with that? Because that becomes a personal consultation, which we no longer do by phone or Skype. So we are, as I said, pulling back, working on our way toward retirement.
Yeah.
So take advantage of what we're offering now before it's gone, because we have too many people saying we wish we'd done this and done that, and it's going to be too late.
And please like or share these videos, because that gets around the algorithms of YouTube, that actually for every 7 to 10 people that watch the video, YouTube only counts 1. So if you share or like it, it gets around that algorithm.
Yeah, so we appreciate all your help to get out the hyperspace oversoul information, because there are a lot of people wanting it. Let's see how many people actually will use it.
And this week, I was very surprised to find out that we have a lot of Chinese people reading our work, so I'm saying hello to all the Chinese people out there. And,
Say that in Chinese.
well, I can say that.
Are you going to?
No. 一路平安，我老的朋友。
So, until next time,
再见。
bye.